them in dump trucks and taking them away. We shouldn't have to call about that kind of stuff. If you work for a town or a city, please be aware that homeowners and business owners do not have the infrastructure or the means to dig up and remove 8 or 9 foot snow mounds that are 9 feet tall and 9, 10, 15, 20 feet long and 10 feet wide. We don't have the capability to do that. So when you're plowing, send a supervisor or a guy around, check out neighborhoods, check out business districts, and if you see this happened, please come out and remove the giant snow mounds, because we can't do it. And when it stays cold for a month, guess what? The snow doesn't melt. So somebody's got to move it. So please do that. Okay?
There you go.
Another thing I read about was tragedy of a story again. It ended up not ending in tragedy, but it could have. A mother tried to kill her 2-year-old child. What in the hell makes a mother or a father decide one day, completely out of the blue,
to kill their kid? Especially an infant or a toddler, someone who is completely innocent, who obviously has no understanding or knowledge of things they do or say. What motivates someone to do that? I'll never understand that. I've been involved in a couple of those incidents, and they're never pleasant. And I know that to this day, I still don't understand the motivation for it. I'm not sure if anybody else does either. People that seem completely normal and just casual, everyday, blue-collar, white collar workers that do their thing day by day, just one day snap and just kill their children for no reason. Especially ones that do it in excessively brutal ways, the ones that starving and strangling and stabbing and burning alive and things like that. I just don't get it. I don't know. We might have to get a psychologist friend of ours in here to discuss that topic a little more and elaborate. That may not be for a while, but that may take some planning. But I certainly like to try to understand it. This next one is a favorite of Xanman's. He kind of made him mad when he read it. It's about a Hong Kong billionaire. So there's this Hong Kong billionaire who has a lesbian daughter, and he is offering any man, this is just any man, $65 million if they can win the love of his daughter.
So he basically wants a man to convert her into a heterosexual.
And as you know, that's practically impossible. If you love somebody else, you're not going to go and just convert. Like, if you love a different gender, there's no way they're going to change that. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. It's like selling out your kid. I guess he's literally selling his daughter to the highest, not really the highest bidder, but he's just selling his daughter for $65 million, with the exception of you having to do a little work and convert her. So it's crazy.
If I were her, I'd just have one of my guy friends just be like, to help him get $65 million, just say that he converted. Say that he converted me, and then I'd be like, "Oh, do you have your $65 million yet?" And then he's like, "Yeah, okay, see ya."
Split it, give her like half or 25%, and she can go back to her life, and you can take yours, and adios. So, yeah, definitely.
Moving on to our NASA update. We normally include NASA update stuff in like national or international news, but we've been doing so much following of a lot of it recently. We're going to start making it its own segment. The first topic under this is that after 10 years, the Mars rover is still rolling around and doing its job. During a NASA news conference, which was probably 4 or 5 days ago now, scientists announced that the rover is still doing quite well, and they expect its power levels to begin to increase when the sky clears after the Martian winter ends, giving the rover the extra solar power necessary to do more work and handle more tasks while traveling to further reaches of the planet. They also threw out a number there in response to a question from a listener. Apparently it costs $43 million a year to operate the current Mars rover at its current level of operation and function and what it's doing now. So the question was basically at what point is NASA going to decide to continue to operate the current Mars rover at $43 million a year, or take that $43 million a year and apply it to the construction, launch, and operation of a new rover? And that was a question they did not have an answer for, but in case you were wondering what that's costing NASA, it's $43 million per year to operate the Mars rover at its current pace. They also talked a lot about how initially the primary goal was to try to discover water vapor, ice, water in some type of form. And now I can't remember the exact word, but the rover is focusing on looking for some type of other compound, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. So I will try to maybe get that information for you next time. But the focus of what the rover is doing seems to be focused primarily on this one goal, along with other things that it discovers on the way. So, also at NASA this coming summer, a new satellite is going to be launched into orbit with the sole function and sole purpose of mapping the greenhouse gas CO2, which is carbon dioxide, in our atmosphere. It is going to be called the Orbiting Carbon Observatory 2, or OCO2.
And it's funny because
OCO2.
It's funny because CO2 is carbon dioxide. So
yeah, there was a few people that had mentioned something in this news story I read about this. They said that there's a lot of people concerned about carbon monoxide in the atmosphere, but the plants in the atmosphere, and trees and all the vegetation in our world that produce a lot of the oxygen that we use to breathe with require that CO2 to be present in order to produce oxygen via photosynthesis. So at what point do you say there's too much or too little CO2? And if you can say that, how do you even determine what those levels should be on such a grand global scale? I'm not even sure if they can. So maybe that's this satellite is the beginning of research into that purpose. January 24th, NASA successfully launched another TDRS satellite to add to the TDRS constellation. And if you're not familiar with what that is, TDRS is the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite. The TDRS constellation is the network of tracking and data relay satellites that surround the globe, so that when astronauts go into space and when they work on the International Space Station, there are no longer long periods of blackouts during which the ground crews are unable to talk to the crews in space or on the space station. These satellites basically make it possible for them to talk to them day or night, 24 hours a day, as well as eliminating the 20-minute blackout period for space vehicles when they re-enter the atmosphere and become ionized. In the past, there was always a blackout window when the vehicle became ionized where radio signals would not transmit, and it was basically, a 20-minute wait to see if the ship survived re-entry. Now, with each craft is essentially outfitted with a TDRS antenna on top of it, and so throughout the entire re-entry process, they're able to communicate with ground crews to let them know what's going on and work through any problems that arise. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Thought that was neat. Astronomers at NASA have used their Chandra X-ray Observatory to reveal one of the most powerful black holes ever known. This particular black hole has created enormous structures in the gases surrounding it, and it has already prevented trillions of stars from forming. It is in a galaxy cluster named RxJ 153.9 plus 3021, also known as RxJ 153. Romeo X-ray Juliet 153 for short. This particular black hole is about 3.9 billion light years from Earth. Its mass cluster, which is basically all the black hole and all of the objects within the cluster around it, are about a quadrillion. That's quadrillion times larger than our own sun.
Quadrillion is like, how there's million, there's billion, then there's trillion. That's usually what most people know the names of, but quadrillion is 4, so that's like a million to the, or something like that, along that range. Like, you go up by how many zeros, so I'm pretty sure that's 15 zeros, right?
I'm not sure. It's
because there's 12 to a billion, you just add another 3, so that's 15, right?
Well, I know it's a quadrillion. A quadrillion times larger than our own sun.
Which is a lot.
They say that the galaxy around it is an elliptical galaxy.
Which is what our galaxy is.
At the center, and it contains the black hole.
Which is pretty impressive. It's theorized that our galaxy contains a supermassive black hole such as this one that is what makes us stay together, along with dark energy and dark matter, so all those forces playing together. So yeah,
if you're not familiar with dark energy and dark matter, we may touch on those topics later. They're a little complicated.
Yeah.
The dwarf planet Ceres, found within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, has water vapor in its atmosphere. That was a recent discovery. They discovered water vapor in the atmosphere of Ceres between Mars and Jupiter. So that's good news. Maybe we'll have that'll be our next
living place
rover expedition. So I'm interested to see where that's going to come up.
Maybe they'll ship like all the criminals there. It'll be like A-class Alcatraz.
It'll be like a new Botany Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. The
or
solar
maybe
system's version of Botany Bay.
Remember your ideas of how they should just take all the bad towns and stuff like such, like where they're horrible towns. You talked about just putting a dome over it and then igniting a nuclear vessel.
You're looking for nuclear vessels in Alameda.
Alameda.
We're looking for nuclear vessels.
Hashtag Star Trek.
And
Star Trek Fourth Voyage Home, the best Star Trek movie ever made.
That talks about whales.
Moving on.